This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 544 for the week of Monday, November 5th, 2018. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And my name is Alex.
And on today's show, very special guest translator for One Piece in Weekly Shonen Jump. We have Stephen Paul with us. How's it going, Stephen?
It is going well. I'm excited to be on this week.
We also have Anime News Network writer, our anime recap host, and frequent contributor to our podcast. We have Sam Leach on. How's it going, Sam?
Yo, I'm here again. Surprise.
Cool. So, a few bits of podcast cleanup before we start. If you haven't checked out our Patreon yet, it's a great time to. We just released an episode, 2 episodes last week. One, it's over an hour long, includes outtakes, exclusives, a lot of random discussion as per usual. You'll enjoy that one. We also have a special extended edition of the One Piece read-through for Dressrosa Part 1. I think there's an extra 10 or 15 minutes worth of stuff on that, so if you want to hear the full version, where we dive much further into the Twix analogy, join us for that on Patreon. We also have the regular version of the One Piece read-through Dressrosa Part 1 on the feed. We've released it this past weekend. We will now be releasing those monthly, and you could completely blame me for that, but I also feel better saying monthly and then not delaying it every week indefinitely.
Zach, how many episodes of the podcast are you going to be on for the next month?
0.
That's right.
Good transition. So I will be on my honeymoon. I'm going to be all over Southeast Asia. If you see a white guy in a One Piece shirt, it's probably me. So I'm not going to be on the podcast until December, probably for the last few episodes. Ed, Steve, and Alex will be on, so do not worry. You are in extremely capable hands, and for those who don't like me, it's even better for you. So yeah, the next read-through episode is going to be coming on when I get back in early December. That's going to finish off our Dressrosa / snack candy analogy recap. And I know a lot of you people out there like Dressrosa, and we're going to definitely have Brian on to represent all of you, and then we'll have Alex on to represent all of us. So
Gonna rip that Band-Aid off.
Yeah, we're going to rip that Band-Aid off. Part 1, I think, for those who listened, we have much more fond feelings about than probably the second half of Dressrosa. So that's going to be volume 75 through 80. Please listen in. We're going to have all opinions represented, hopefully. So, with that out of the way, we have a manga recap for chapter 923. And Sam, what do we have in the anime this week?
Our anime this week is episode 860.
Nice. And where are we now in the anime?
We are just getting back. So Luffy went to Nuts Island, and now he's coming back to fight Katakuri.
That's Nuts Island.
And also the Fire Tank Pirates have landed. So
okay.
Well,
the cake is seaborne.
So let's find out what's going on in the manga right now. This is the manga recap for chapter 923, Emperor of the Sea Kaido versus Luffy. I don't know if they're both Emperor of the Seas here, but it sounds like just one might be. What's going on the front page here, Ed?
Well, it's Child, Luffy, Ace, and Sambo having a contest with Atlas, Hercules, and Miyama beetles sent by Honey Liquor. Ace is wearing a shirt that says Ruler, and Luffy's wearing a shirt that says Warenai. What does that mean?
It doesn't crack. It's probably his egg.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I forgot he had that running joke with the egg.
So he doesn't have this is before the Tamagotchi the incident of the broken egg.
And Sabo chooses not to wear a shirt. It looks like Luffy's beetles are beating the other two. Foreshadowing? Yes. Yes, it is.
Well, you can also tell that they're beating them because Luffy's getting beat on.
Yeah. There's several ways you could tell.
Hey, it's too bad there's not an insect called a Yoko.
I was letting that dead air.
Yeah, all right. Nice.
Weird that Kaido comes first in the title over Luffy.
Oh,
I think you're gonna find out why
Yeah.
momentarily. Ed,
just as like a point of view thing.
It's a real good looking stump. I just want to say that.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, can't beat that stump there. Yep. Ed.
But by the way, the guy who sent this in, honey liquor, not honey liquor as in the drink, but honey liquor as in someone who likes to lick honey.
So, do you think it was
that person has written in before? I recognize that.
So this is probably sent in by a certain bear who enjoys honey.
I don't know who you're talking about. I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna lick some honey.
That was fun.
Ed.
Start off big punch, and Kaido's like head is turning in like an opposite crescent now. It's great. The people are flying. Like the power of this punch is sending people flying. Probably just Kaido falling also, but he has descended upon them in many ways. Yeah, clear out of town. The dragon's fallen. What's up? What happened? Who is that? Hey, that's the guy who beat up Yokozuna Urashima and Master Hold'em. And as Luffy sort of darts away into the sky, I love the view of him being so small, so very small compared to Kaido. It's shocking.
I like how there's a ninja escaping as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
Right there at the bottom.
Doing the nin. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't notice that because he was a good ninja. And what a crazy cast of characters on this page. They're all very Oda-y.
A couple of them look like gifters. Some just look like Wano people.
Yeah, it looks like a mixture of all sorts. Steven.
Yeah, I also love in that very first panel, the big one. It's such a simple detail, but the use of the light screen tone over like the backside of Kaido's, his dragon body in the background to kind of give you a sense of distance that, that's far behind Luffy as he is punching the head, and he's really doing a great job. He and the crew at the art crew at providing a sense of scale for all of this, dragon form Kaido stuff. So on the next page, Luffy lands on the ground, front and center in a very cool kind of dynamic angle here, and you can see the people are all running away from, particularly from Luffy, because he was crazy enough to attack Lord Kaido, and I don't think they want to be anywhere near what comes of this. So Luffy starts running off, and we see in the next panel that he is looking to the mountaintop where Odin Castle is. It was supposed to be, and there is just looks like a cauterized wound here. Just the burned edges of the trees, and then a bunch of smoke, and he's kind of pleading to no one in particular. Oh, they've got to be all right. They must have done something, right? And then we see Shutenmaru in his in his Bacchus pose on the back of the bowl, sipping on his gourd of liquor. As there's a guy in the foreground who is riding what appears to be a giant Shiba Inu puppy.
I was gonna say,
looks like very adorable mount, and he is ordering the rest of his brigands to go back to the mountain. I'm presuming that it is a different mountain than the one that we are seeing smoking in the background. But he's got a bad feeling about this. And meanwhile, Luffy overhears some of Kaido's guys saying "Miss Speed" and "Hang in there, ma'am." And then we see that this is apparently Speed's followers, and there she is, kind of collapsed on the ground. And they're asking, we thought you were outside of town. Oh, she just fell onto the street from the backside of Lord Kaido's cape. And Luffy recognizes her. Horselina! They're like, Horselina? He rushes over and lifts her up. What are you doing? Where's Tama? you took her back home, right? And she is in bad shape here, and she is, she's kind of doing the death speech here. Oh, along the way, Kaido spotted me, and I fought hard, but I couldn't protect Master. And yeah, she's all beat up, and this does not sound good for poor little Otama. And Luffy realizes that as he's got the he's got the screen tone shading and the hatching, the cross hatching shading over his face. So these things are just going from bad to worse.
Okay, and we get that flashback right away. Where are you going, Speed? I've heard a disquieting story about you, says Kaido as he stops Horselina herself in her tracks. And that's all we see. We get another panel of Luffy being...
Wait, before we get to the serious stuff, is Kaido Sam Elliott?
Yeah, why not? He's now, from now on, when I read it, he's drunk Sam Elliott. So, as Luffy is fuming, he thinks of Tama, and she says, "Big bro, between the Oshiruko and the apples, I'll never forget the flavors that I've tasted today." And we see a shot of what appears to be Tama's body and the very apple that she was eating, and what looks to be blood next to her arm, which I guess is off in the distance. This is what we see. So it looks like Tama's body was never recovered. Luffy, even like if we thought Luffy was pissed last chapter, this is the straw that is currently breaking the camel's back. He scrunches up some sand in his fist. That's off. Damn it! I should have stayed at her side. And begins to regret everything. And Law quickly gets Straw Hat's attention and says, "What do you think you're doing? We have to flee." Knowing how huge he is, he might not even realize what just happened. Are you trying to ruin our plans? And Luffy is thinking sort of clearly for him. He says, "If I destroy him now, it's all over anyway. We don't even know if Kinemon's crew, my crew, or your crew is alive and well at the moment." And I can't tell if Law is looking over at Odin Castle, but the panel is there as it smolders.
It seems that it's like a moment of recognition for Law that, yeah, I guess he's right, here.
He's looking at the panel on the right.
Yeah, that's what
Oh, shit.
Look at that panel.
Well, Straw Hat may have a point there, and Luffy, without any more hesitation, gets Kaido's attention by screaming to him, "Kaido, I'm right here." He gets Kaido's attention, and with a he glares right at Luffy, towering above everything else, Speed lying on the ground, and Luffy is surrounded, of course, by Kaido's men. And everybody is terrified because Kaido is looking this way, Lord Kaido. And, of course, people are noticing that he's drunk as well.
I'm sorry, but, like, of all the scenes that we've seen with Kaido, like after maybe the very first glimpse, he's been like drunk in every single one. It seems kind of hard to believe that all these people are like, "Oh my God, is he drunk right now?" Like, it just comes off a little false.
They're like all those exposition characters we've had, except they're all like, "Let's remind the readers, he's drunk." It's hard to tell if a dragon is drunk, to be fair, under most circumstances. Alex, you could finish Kaido's line here if you want.
Sure. And you are.
And yeah, so that's a close up on Kaido's eyes. He's looking down at Luffy, and Luffy responds, "Luffy, the man who will be king of the pirates." He doesn't call himself Luffy Taro here. He's like, "Nope, this is the real deal." Kaido opens his mouth. He's getting ready for another blast, and we see were these guys at the sumo show?
It's hard to tell.
Maybe. I think so. Maybe.
I feel like there was a guy from the sumo tournament who I'm like constantly like looking for in these crowds. So yeah, we see there are 2 panels of these guys, and there's like one normal of them running away, and then the lighting just completely changes, and we know what that's about because Kaido is now breathing fire or whatever he's doing. He's blasting the area where Luffy is.
Firing his laser.
Yeah.
He's microwaving.
We pull back. We see the whole town. We see the smoke clearing. This is like of the panels where Kaido is just like super big against the city. Like I think this is my favorite of the chapter. Luffy just like chucks speed towards her crew, and she gets caught. So he grabbed her in time. Now he's getting a big gum. Kaido's staring him down.
Luffy throws an elephant gatling. Was this a finishing move for anyone? I'm trying to remember. It was Hody. Okay. I think he does almost a finishing move, like all of his finishing moves in this chapter. Correct me if I'm wrong. And he, by all appearances, seems to be pummeling the hell out of Dragon Kaido, or as we were calling him, Drunk Kaido last week. And everyone is shocked. Whoa, what's up with this guy? He's totally pummeling Kaido. I'm sure this is going to work out. And Luffy does seem to be legitimately landing his blows in there. Kaido doesn't, much like most drunk people, his reactions seem a little,
delayed.
Yeah, I'll put it that way. They're lagging. But a series of panels where Luffy is just walloping Kaido in the face, in the mouth. He seems one of them.
He gives him accordion face.
A what?
It looks like his mouth looks like an accordion.
Yeah. It's like
there.
right in the snout. That's the only way to describe it. And Luffy is raging. That is the only word for it. Steven.
Yeah, and he says, "How do you like them Dragon Balls?" No, he doesn't say that. But Kaido is indeed, like, he's toppling. I like how this takes a couple panels here where the first one, he's kind of head down going backwards, almost like a Olympic diver or something, and the people standing there are like, and then they start all running away because he is crashing down right into the town. And there's a great, like, I guess sort of like cockroach, legs in the air pose here where, you just see the underside of his body rising up over the top of the buildings. And
like most cockroaches, they're very difficult to kill, though.
Oh, yes. And this one is, well, now he is shrinking. You can see the little concentric lines as it goes. Shoo. I like to imagine that he's deflating here. And there he goes. He's back to human form again. Is Kaido all right? Supreme Commander Kaido. And it's kind of interesting. I just want to point out, too, that it seems like as soon as he turns from dragon into human form, like they start changing the form of dress that they give him. Like it's, is it Lord Kaido, or is it, Commander Kaido, or just Kaido? And, kind of an interesting, it feels like, we're seeing a little bit into how the followers kind of view him as far as when he's a dragon versus a human.
Yeah, just positing a weird theory. Maybe he goes into his dragon form more often when he is drunk, and that's why everyone is like, "Oh shit, it's his dragon. He must be drunk."
Also, you're assuming that like a real drunk. I mean, he drinks all the time, but he's not drunk.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
now
he's drunk. Exactly. And absolutely.
Didn't they mention a few chapters ago that the people of Wano, like, they almost talk about Kaido like he's a deity?
Yeah.
I was wondering if, like, maybe the dragon is like a persona he puts on to scare the locals or something. But
they seem to be aware of both forms.
Yeah. I think they would be more surprised by this transformation then. But I don't know.
They're probably more used to seeing him in his human form, and I'm guessing that's would explain the surprise, especially in this area of Wano.
Or the whole deity thing could just be like, that's just what we call it, but everyone is actually generally terrified and knows kind of exactly what's going on, and that's just the
But also, devil fruits are really rare here in Wano, right? Like, Tama was
true.
kind of an odd one out for that.
Yeah.
Well, real ones.
They well, they don't know that they're called devil fruits in the rest of the world, but we've already seen, I would say the typical frequency of devil fruit users already, so they may not be, that rare. But at any rate, he's getting up, he's nursing a real bad hangover here, and the onlookers, I guess we don't have a word, the schmucks are still describing the action here. Oh, the guy transformed. He grew bigger, and it's kind of hard to tell from the first panel there. But in the second one, we see a much closer view of Luffy, who is now in his Gear 4 Bounce Man form, and he is preparing a Kong organ gun, and just does his whole row of giant fists that are shooting fat forward. They're going so fast that you can't even see, Oda doesn't even draw the fists at the end. They're just impacts that are raining down on Kaido's face and chest here.
Wasting no time.
Yeah.
And this is, so King Kong gun is what defeated Doflamingo. So
yeah.
But this looks way more intense than the King Kong gun, to be fair.
Well, so he used Kong organ gun, I believe, against the Biscuit Soldiers and I think Katakuri.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like
so in the anime a couple weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, and I guess thus far it hasn't proven very effective. So third time's the charm, Luffy, I guess.
Well, it's basically just his Gatling gun, but in
in Gear 4.
In Gear 4,
right?
Yeah.
It's like when he does Jet Gatling, although that beat Lucci. So.
Yeah, that is actually the only time I think Gatling has beaten someone, even though it seems like the most abrasive.
Storm is a form of Gatling.
Oh, you're right. So twice, okay. So it's worked a lot of times, I guess. He's not wrong to try and use this as his finishing move. But Alex, does it work?
Well, let's find out. We are treated to this really awesome panel of Luffy connecting with the attack. Actually, several awesome panels, but this one in particular showcases Luffy's really great musculature.
I keep thinking this is Snake Man whenever I turn the page.
He should have done Snake Man. I'm just saying.
In retrospect, Luffy, that would have been a better idea.
Yeah. So Luffy continues to pummel Kaido. We see some really great close-up panels of his punches connecting to Kaido's face and his belly as the Gawkers gawk, and Luffy huffs and wheezes. And finally, Luffy finishes his Kong organ attack with a giant kaboom, an earth-shattering kaboom that really does. It looks like it does a sizable amount of damage to the town. And we're left with the aftermath. Kaido is on his back, smoking, I guess, from all the furious punches that he has taken. Everybody's murmuring. Law looks on with a tense look on his face. Hawkins looks on with the same face that he's always got. And Shutenmaru waddles up on his horse. Bull.
Water buffalo, right?
Is some sort of bull, buffalo. Yeah, like Mongo from Blazing Saddles. Yeah.
Shutenmaru just pawned in Game of Life.
Yeah, Shuten Mongo. Who's that fella? He says to himself as Kaido gets up and grabs his signature Oni club.
Where'd that come from, by the way?
You don't want to know. You don't want to know.
He's a manga character.
You don't.
It's club space, yeah.
That's the thing that annoyed me most in this entire chapter is that where'd he get that? Because it is kind of important.
Oh yeah, we get a nice look at his tiny ass legs, his little Kaido legs, his baby legs,
little tiny baby legs.
Yeah,
little bitty hoops.
They call me baby legs. I'm regular legs. Anyway, Sam.
We have a room as Luffy prepares for something. and Sam.
Yeah, and we turn the page, Thunder Bagua, which sounds like a Final Fantasy spell. And it's basically just Kaido backhanding Luffy, and Luffy just is immediately wiped, deflates, Gear 4 spins out of control, plops. You got some of the onlookers who are amazed. We are looking at the back of Kaido's head, and he's getting ready to exclaim something. What king was that, boy? And the last panel here is Luffy unconscious, beaten half to death, like his eyes are whited out, he's bloody, he's not looking too good. To be continued.
Well, that's the end of the series. It was a fun run.
No. Unlike Belmare, Luffy is actually going to the dungeon. Where he will meet with Kid, and Kid will join the arc. I'm not joking about that.
No, I know. But I feel like I've said that's the end of the series at least 3 times in 2018. Once,
Yeah.
Once when the Thousand Sunny went under. Once last week when the entire crew was killed, presumably, and once this week when Luffy was beaten swiftly.
Not since Crocodile has someone defeated Luffy like that.
That is not true.
What about Lucci?
Kuzan, Luffy.
Yeah, I guess.
All of Marineford.
Oh, yeah. Like every person in Marineford.
But it seems so much more hopeless because he can't escape.
Well, I mean, the whole reason, I'll just throw this out there, that, he was training those 2 years is so exactly the situation that is occurring now does not happen. And lo and behold, it's happening. So I mean, this is an interesting turn of events. Steven, I guess talk about this and thoughts on the chapter.
What's the translation of that attack there?
Oh yeah, what is it in Japanese?
Bagua is the it's that octagon symbol that is used in what is it? Like Tau type stuff. Like in Lost.
It's on the South Korean flag. That same kind of.
Yes, exactly. Okay. I'm not sure what that necessarily means in this context, but
well, we talked about the deity aspect of him. So much like Eneru, we might have some, God related, or at least Buddhism and Taoism related puns.
Could be, yeah. Like I said, not entirely sure, what to expect from that, that attack name alone, or if that even really means anything, or if that's just like he's just like coming up with a name right as he just swings. He's just hitting him like with a baseball bat.
Just look at looking at like the Wikipedia article. The first line is like, the Pakwa are 8 symbols used in Taoist cosmology to represent the fundamental principles of reality, which is, what's more reality than getting hit with a bat?
Hit upside the head.
Yeah. Fundamental.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess my question is there anyone who did not see this coming? I mean, we certainly talked about like, okay, well, Luffy having this accelerated confrontation versus Kaido, which ended last chapter with him doing a big ol' attack right on Kaido in dragon form. I think at the very least we were all in agreement, like, okay, well, this clearly is not going to be the final confrontation between Luffy and Kaido. So Luffy cannot emerge completely victorious, although I suppose it's possible that Kaido could have shaken it off and just Luffy could have escaped, and Kaido would just assume that I got a real bad hangover from drinking so much, or some sort of comedic sort of laugh it off type of a thing. But I think clearly given that it ended up with a two-way fight, that with Kaido fighting back, it was kind of inevitable that he was going to win this first round. I guess we should probably assume in a fashion somewhat like this. Definitely, I think it helps a lot to I don't know, I guess fashion the image of Kaido as this tremendously powerful and kind of terrifying force that pretty much the entire chapter is just a long series of Luffy wailing on him and then ending with just one hit from the club at the end, and that being enough to take out Luffy. Like, that definitely sends a pretty strong message, I feel like. And yeah, I don't know. There's not a whole lot else to say about it. I guess the bit about Speed and Otama came as a bit of a shock to the system to me. I guess I just had sort of assumed that that had been Oda had sort of closed that little chapter, as we said, when she took Otama off. Like, okay, she's going back to the woods to Hitetsu's place again, and then if need be, we will go back and revisit. But that's probably it for now. And to have that end up happening off screen was a bit of a shock. But yeah, not much else to add to that. I think I am eager to see how Luffy will recover from this, if at all. He's kind of looking like Luffy Shivo at the moment, but I'm sure we will have a better ending than that.
Yeah, I could diagnose that just by watching it on TV.
My diagnosis: bad babysitting.
I do want to mention that the 8 trigrams of Bagua, which as a person who practices Taekwondo is actually used in a lot of the forms. I mean, it's very prominent in Korea, I believe, generally. But you're going to recognize one of these. And this is not, I'm not listing the Planeteers, guys. Heaven, Lake, Fire, Thunder, Wind, Water, Mountain, and Earth. So, and Heart.
No.
Can't forget Heart. And also each of the planets have like a representation. It's interesting. I mean, they're very prominent in a lot of East Asian and Southeast Asian cultures. So I'm sure we will have, if not Chow on our website, talking a little bit more about Kaido and his potential moves. I'm sure we'll have some listeners telling us some stuff there. Sam.
Like the fact that we spend so much time in this chapter with Luffy beating on Kaido, I think that really emphasizes the last spread. Like you turn that page and it's just the one shot kill. I think is really, really exciting. Although it does seem odd that Kaido just kind of sits there and takes it for so long.
You can see him not flinching though. After he transforms back into human form, he's just sort of like he's barely moving.
Dude, he's drunk. He like barely knows what's actually happening.
Okay. But I don't know. Like his drunkenness does not feel like it serves the same story purpose as like Big Mom's sugar needs. But Otama, that shot of like we just see her hand and like the blood and like it's not just that like, oh no, something bad happened to Otama. Like there's kind of a loneliness to that shot. Like you don't know who's going to find her and when. Like how long is that going to take? And obviously it's not going to be Luffy because Luffy's in trouble. And it feels like it's like I wasn't ready to see like Luffy and Kaido actually facing each other down, like human Kaido and Luffy actually like kind of standing in the same area. But I love that final spread so much. And I'm really curious what does Kaido think of the King of the Pirates title? Like, is that something that he wants for himself, or is that just like something that he does not respect in others or something?
Well, I think, I mean, not to speak too far out of turn here, but I think it's here he's just like, look, you're still a kid. You're still a rookie.
Right.
Like, who do you think you are to say that? I don't know whether it's a respected thing or like just like you're, what is it? You're 100 years too early to say that kind of thing.
It's definitely. I mean, the latter statement you made, that's definitely true. Like that's what it is first and foremost. But like, I guess I never thought about. It's the same with Big Mom. Like when Big Mom said that, like, oh, I failed to become Pirate King, and it's kind of like the surprise, like, oh, I guess I hadn't even really thought about you trying at all.
I'm assuming Kaido's also trying because he has that poneglyph.
True.
Yeah, that's the and the one thing about the emperors is I assume that they all kind of have the same goal in mind. I'd even throw that at Shanks. Like, I'm not sure, but Shanks is a complete mystery, considering we've known him.
My
since
theory with
chapter
Shanks
1.
is that my theory with both Shanks and Buggy, like I thought it was funny that like I think they both know what the One Piece is. Like Buggy, he's so like gung ho about finding treasure, but I don't think he's ever expressed interest in.
Yeah,
the
I feel like he actually probably represents the reader who will be disappointed to find out that the One Piece is not a bunch of treasure. And so he's just been going around trying to find actual treasure.
I also wonder if he doesn't go off looking for the One Piece in respect to Roger, his former captain.
Kaido's motivations are still like super ambiguous. I mean, obviously we don't know like how much of the bad that's happening is Kaido or Orochi in Wano. Kaido obviously seems to be pretty ill-tempered generally, but
I mean he blew up a castle. He's probably killed quite a few people.
Yeah. But is he like bad in the way Big Mom is bad, or is he, which I think is a lot less bad than like Doflamingo, who's like out, to wreak havoc and make the world a more chaotic place?
Kaido specifically wants to start a war that destroys the world.
That's true, and he's been creating the sad and the smile. Yeah, to be fair. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put that back in perspective. And he seems to have beaten up a little girl just now, in some respect. Okay, Alex.
She was in the way.
To be fair, Alex, for the record, Ed condoned that. Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, great. I think this is a great chapter in terms of showing the big power difference here between Luffy and the what we presume to be the big bad of this arc, and also one of the four emperors, the the one that we haven't completely seen in action until just now. If you'll remember from last week, I was in the camp that Luffy would knock drunk Kaido out, and then he'd wake up with a stupor, as like Steven mentioned. But in hindsight, no, this is actually way better because it just sort of gets right to the point that no, Kaido is stronger than Luffy, and here's exactly how he'll one shot him, and basically just take his attacks like nobody can. Now, what I do wonder is if he is sober now, like after transforming back into his human, if you can call it that, self. Mm-hmm. And it also makes me wonder about what Big Mom said in reference to Kaido, calling him that thing, and the the fact that he can't die and his horns. Like I further and further am like subscribing to the theory that he is either descended from or related to the race or whatever Oars is. And his horns also, the way they're shaped, remind me of the thing on the outside of Punk Hazard as well. That big.
Yeah, that's probably, in retrospect, on purpose, because, I mean, that was Kaido's factory.
Right, but I also wonder...
Later on, at least, not initially.
Well, yeah. I don't think that's his Jolly Roger, though. The thing that, like, now the thing I'm, like, thinking about, like, maybe Kaido is a man-made creature. Like, he's genetically engineered to be that strong. Like, he is, like, a creation of Dr. Vegapunk.
How old is Dr. Vegapunk?
Oh, hey, we don't know that.
I don't know if I would subscribe to that.
Hey,
I
I'm
mean,
just throwing
Dr. Gray has
spaghetti
like
at the wall here.
130, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
140, I thought.
Yeah,
She
she is
was
now. Yeah,
Yeah, I think she's over.
141 now.
Yeah, Alex, anything else?
No, everybody said basically kind of what I was thinking. This is a pretty short chapter. A lot of great artwork.
I mean,
Oda.
short in reading it, but it's actually a normal length as we've been mentioning. Yeah. Yeah.
I was gonna say, there's no way Tama is dead. By the way, that's.
I mean, there's no way anyone's dead.
What, you mean all-powerful Kaido can't even kill a 6-year-old girl? Like, I'm so disappointed. He has to go way lower on the power rankings.
Whoa.
Disappointment. Just disappointment.
Jeez. What are you, a Reddit thread?
He's nerfed.
Steven is a Reddit.
Fix it, Oda.
Steven is a Reddit thread come to life. Ed.
This chapter was exciting as hell. I was so excited to see Luffy just go all out at it and to have Kaido just take everything. Like, after, I guess he was surprised once, but he gets like that look in his eye and he just takes Luffy out all the way. And that was like, Luffy really emptied out the entire tank on him and it didn't do anything. So I guess we have to regroup and think of a different strategy now. Because obviously Luffy isn't, nobody's dead, as you guys were saying. Nobody's dead. But I do think this is how Kid gets back into the story. We're going to take him down to the dungeon. You're going to take him to the Demon Island and see what happens from there.
Onigashima.
Yeah.
Is that it, Ed?
That's it.
Yeah, I like this takes, so Steven posited when we started talking about the chapter, who didn't see this coming in a way, like Luffy being beaten. And I yes and no. Like, I knew.
Oh, it was you. You didn't see it coming.
I was the one who didn't see it coming. Let me answer. No, I didn't see it coming this soon. Certainly. I didn't see it coming this disproportionately. The thing that this reminded me...
I mean, I didn't see it coming until last week either, but like...
The thing that this reminded me most of, that's this rewind all the way back to Baratier. It reminded me of the Mihawk Zoro, if you want to call that a fight. It felt so... This is the most... One Piece has only felt like that, I'd say, maybe 3 other times. Once when Luffy gets speared... or hooked by Crocodile in the chest, like right through the chest.
When Ace died?
Well, I was gonna... You skipped one in the middle. Second is when Aokiji freezes Luffy, and you're like, oh, this world is a much bigger place. And I'd say most of Marineford, I think, really does that. It's one of those moments where you're like, shit, Luffy still has a long way to go before he is where the rest of the world thinks he is at this point. It kind of had been the opposite up until that point. It's like readers would be like, oh, Luffy is stronger, but everyone around him in his world was like, who is this rubber guy? And it's kind of the opposite now, where everyone in the world is like, he's going to beat everyone. And us as readers are a little more skeptical. It's like, I don't know. This is like it feels like, definitely fandom wise, like an shattering kind of moment in the series, and just seeing Luffy use all his finishing moves and just doing absolutely nothing. I mean, I don't know how Oda is going to write himself out of this. Not that I doubt that he can and he will. I just can't figure out how he will do it.
He's already written this bit. I mean, this was clearly intentional. This isn't Dressrosa. He's not making it up as he goes.
I'm not saying he's making it up as he goes along. I'm just saying, like, I don't know at this point in time how he's writing himself out of this. Obviously, he already knows how he's doing that. I just, as a reader, have no clue, like, even except for the thing Ed mentioned, that him and Kid might get together, but what is that going to do? I mean, it's like 2 ants, trying to beat a crocodile, an actual one, or maybe the character crocodile. I don't know. It's a really interesting bit.
I'm excited for a Drake and Law confrontation. Apropos of nothing, but in this arc, I want that.
Law being there creates an interesting question as to what is Law going to do after this? Because remember, the last battle Law saw Luffy in was at the end of Dressrosa, where he used this finishing move and beat Doflamingo, the guy that he was forever trying to beat and couldn't. So I'm sure there's a lot going through Law's head here. Like, crap, I'm screwed. Let me get the hell out of here. Like, who knows what's going through Law's head?
I think, you know, what Ed was saying too, or the way that he summed it up too, is the interesting part is that, like, okay, so clearly Luffy can't just power his way through it, that the answer has to be something else. And I think that is the real interesting part, because, you know, like if you looked back at Whole Cake Island, you know, Luffy's main opponent there was Katakuri, and, you know, yes, there was I guess you could say there was an element of strategy or something that he quote unquote learned to do. But really, I mean, if you kind of just distill it down, Luffy just fought a lot harder and beat Katakuri that way. Right. You know, he went faster. He used his powers stronger and harder.
The Lucci kind of method.
Yeah.
Right.
And
actually, with Katakuri, it's particularly interesting with Katakuri, because Katakuri, I just watched this in the anime today, that he says this is his Goku fight. This is the fight where he has to fight the stronger guy just because it would be just to challenge himself.
Yeah.
More so than any other fight he's done.
But having kind of just done a fight, like, you know, like, in other words, if Luffy is able to just, like, sort of power up and one-on-one outmuscle Kaido in this fight, like, that's just kind of it, right? Like, how is anyone supposed to stop Luffy at that point? Because he's just shown that he can, you know, outstrength the strongest guy, the strongest creature in the world, or whatever. And so, you know, clearly that I don't think that can be the answer. Like, there has to be a different way to solve this, so that there can still be dramatic stakes in the story. So that's the part that I'm most, you know, intrigued by after this. Now that Oda has kind of addressed that and said, okay, here's this option and here's why it's not going to work. So that's what I want to see next is, where is he going to take that?
I mean, this is something that's been building up since Punk Hazard, in so many ways, and just the fact that Law and Luffy's alliance was literally to beat Kaido, and throwing everything at him. Yeah, I think Luffy. I think we mentioned a while ago, maybe Greg, probably Greg, that maybe the Straw Hats are all just going to have to work together on this in order to win. And that Luffy, on his own strength and power and fortitude, may not be able to reach that level on his own. On the other hand, I think it's pretty safe to say that Luffy is going to pull a new trick out of the hat before this arc is over. Whether that's a new gear or something else.
Or
something hockey related, or both, or something completely different.
Year 4th, Bounce House.
You know, it'd be cool as shit if he like went one up from Snake Man and became Dragon Man.
I'm all for that. Yeah. There's like a lot of good potential here. Any other final thought? I do want to just say though, this for an action chapter, this is like one of my top favorite, you know, Oda action chapters. I mean, just Luffy's intensity generally is, you really feel it. You really are with him every punch. Like, you're like, kick his ass. But which makes it extra heartbreaking when he doesn't. But yeah, there are some like really iconic 2-page spreads, I feel like, in this chapter that will live on probably well past this. We'll find out, I guess, in the future. Any final thoughts, though? If not, we can move on to the anime recap. Sam?
Let's move. This is the anime recap for episode 860, A Man's Way of Life, Bege and Luffy's Determination as Captains. I'm your host, Sam, and today with me we have, once again, we have, guess who? Ed.
Hello. I have to say, this week, the new opening song, at least, is growing on me a little bit.
Yeah.
The lyrics are on point the more I look at them, and I also like things I did not notice like the first 2 times I listened to it, where they start the song saying we've got the superpowers. By the end of the song, it's we are the superpowers, and I think that's a good touch.
I hadn't picked up on that.
Sometimes you got to read the subtitles closely with these songs, because I don't know if people remember the ranking of the openings and endings that we did on episodes like 3-4 years ago, but I think I always put more value on lyrics being on topic, or at least relevant to One Piece, adventure and such. Some of the songs haven't been that way.
The title card this week begins at 3 minutes and 26 seconds. Pretty early. It opens with Big Mom throwing in another Ikoku sovereignty against Luffy, and Luffy is grabbing Brule and ducking through mirrors and transporting between locations.
I like that big long shot of Big Mom like swinging the sword from on top of the wave. Get a sense of really how big she is and how big the wave is.
Yeah. So Luffy is catching his breath. They're basically back in the mirror world. He's saying, "Oh, thank goodness! I don't want anyone to bother me while I regain my haki." And then immediately Brule is like, "Oni-chan!" Calling for Katakuri to show up, which he does, and then Luffy has to grab Brule. I love this little sequence of animation where Luffy picks up Brule, because Brule is just tied up in a bag. He picks up Brule and he just jams her into the mirror. And he has to like push her through all the way while he's grabbing on.
He's like pushing her sideways. He's got his hand like the top of her head, shoving her sideways through the mirror. Brule is actually being way nicer to Luffy in this episode, I think, than he deserves with the way he's treated her.
It's very cartoonish, this sequence.
It's Scooby-Doo. They're racing all over the mirror world.
Yeah, exactly. So we have
not that it's bad though. I must say I enjoyed this episode quite a bit, but actually mostly for its emotion.
Yeah, we come back to the fire tanks arriving towards Cacao Island. Baby Pez is crying, and Bedge makes a funny face to cheer him up. He's being a good dad.
It's so adorable. Like this episode's just setting me up from the beginning.
So Oven is demanding that his phone, his snail phone, is connected to the intercom, and he's like threatening Chiffon, like, "Hey guys, I've got your wife here. If you don't submit peacefully, I will kill her." And Chiffon is begging to her husband over the phone, I came here out of my own selfishness. We're all gonna die anyway, so please leave me behind and try to survive. And then we get a lot of, I think a lot of this is filler for the anime, but it's memories of Chiffon and Capone's life together.
I like to imagine that it's from the perspective of like their underlings, because like you see them all in the pictures.
Yeah,
like, and they all love her too. So
yeah, the underlings are great in this episode. Like they're just it's a loving pirate crew of murderers.
Like I didn't have that high of an opinion of Bedge before he re-entered the story, and he's like one of my favorites now. He's manly in all the ways Senor Pink isn't really.
I especially love the card of the crew basically throwing Chiffon a birthday party.
Yeah,
I think it's just really sweet. So yeah, everyone's crying. The Tart ships begin to surround Capone's ship. Pudding is trying to beg her brother not to do anything, but Oven is like, nope, sorry, too late. Cannot tolerate treason. Pez is crying, but then just like the way that his dad's hand like kind of shifts slightly, he stops crying. He's like looking up at his dad. He's like, huh?
He's got a very determined look on his face here as well. He's very steely.
Because yeah, and we hear the sound of a gunshot, and then like from the distance we see the bullet like traveling and like getting closer to the camera, and then it changes perspectives and it's going at Oven now.
It's an important change of perspective because I still don't know, like, because they're facing him head on. I don't understand how they shoot him in the face without destroying the cake. It's not.
It's a very accurate shot.
Perhaps, but then you'd think that Oven would fly through the cake, but somehow he does. Anyway,
that's true. I remember even in the manga, I was like, wait, did he just shoot a regular bullet? Like, because if so, why did it explode in Oven's face like that?
Very powerful gun.
So yeah, everyone's cheering. Chiffon cries. He's like, "Oh, you guys are so awesome." You see some gang members bumping fists. And Capone has the great line, "Burn it into your memory, Pez. This is the way Papa lives." And it's just it just feels great. Everyone's great here. That's the title card, not the eye catch of the episode. We come back to the Sunny crew, hanging out, figuring out what they're going to do next. Chopper goes up to I think the music choices in this whole episode are really good. I thought
this was a very sweet scene. This is and the color palette. It's like there's a whole pink purple tinge to the whole scene.
Yeah, the sky is changing. We're like in the late afternoon maybe right now. I think I can't remember what song this was. I think it was that song, that Strong World.
I don't know the names of any of the BGM, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's really nice, and I like Chopper's enthusiasm. Like, all right, Carrot, here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna go, and we're gonna fight, and we're gonna. He's very animated versus Carrot, who's just kind of standing in place and looking up, and she's asking, "Chopro, you think tonight is a full moon?" Which is our first hint of what's to come. Ed,
she's a Saiyan.
I'm so excited.
She is. Yes, Saiyans are in One Piece now. I'm kidding.
And we come back to Cacao Island, and Oven is looking really scary. He's like heating up. He was looking kind of demonic.
He's pissed,
got this. He's got kind of a melted T-1000 vibe right now. He's just sort of like marching towards. I
like it.
Towards the shore, and so the fire tanks, they just ram their ship right into the shore, and it gets kind of stuck on the edge. And they're like, what do you guys think you're doing? And then the wheels start turning. Surprise, the ship is amphibious.
Like they gloat for a few seconds before that starts too. You guys beached yourself, you idiots. Ahaha, why would I tell you? Because I am betraying you. He twiddles his fingers a little bit.
I love Capone is a sneaky backstabbing traitor, and in this circumstance, that's a great thing.
Right, and he enjoys telling them about it.
Yeah, and we got this really classic song. It's I can't remember what the song name is either, but it's the same song as when at the end of Skypiea when they think they've stolen gold and they're just like running away from, and they're all happy and smiling, and the triumphant music is playing. That's the music that's playing as the fire tanks are coming on shore. Sanji is kicking the cart holding the cake upward. I thought the way that scene was done was great, where the chefs are like, how are we gonna get this big cake onto that ship in such little time? And
they've already been kicked.
The whole thing is raising.
That poor seal.
Yeah, and the music's going. Pudding's nose bleeding. She's like an angel fountain.
She is
with her nose bleeding.
She's into it.
And then the final scene of the episode is with Luffy and Brûlé. They're just sort of hiding out in some house somewhere, and Luffy has a chance to just sort of leave Katakuri behind as he's getting his hockey ready, and with as long as he's got Brûlé, Katakuri can't really do a whole lot. But Luffy is wondering to himself, I wonder if I can see the future too. And like you said, Brûlé is being a little nicer than she probably should be right now, where she's admiring his intelligence in battle. Like, oh, you look dumb, but you're a pretty smart fighter. Mm-hmm. And we get this little Rayleigh flashback where I think this is all new. It's very similar, like in animation style. It's very similar to the original Rayleigh hockey scene. But I think this is new. I don't think this is like replayed footage or anything.
No, because I would have remembered this, because it just makes me wish that the Democrats logo was a gorilla and not a donkey, because there's a big red elephant and
Blue
yeah,
gorilla.
big blue gorilla, and it's unfortunate because elephants are awesome.
So Rayleigh is explaining to Luffy that like your hockey abilities will enhance when you fight really tough enemies. Like your hockey, your ambition will kind of rise to fill the gap.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what Luffy wants to do. He wants to beat Katakuri at his best. He wants to beat the 1 billion man. He wants to see the future. He wants all that fun stuff. And that's how the episode ends.
It's the Goku ending. This is the Goku section of this is the Goku part of Luffy. But ultimately, it is because he needs to get he feels that he needs his hockey to be stronger in order to become Pirate King. So he does have more of a goal than Goku did, but still, like choosing, like it's very how to put it? It's very selfish.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of. I was thinking the same with Chiffon and Capone, where Chiffon was like, "Oh, this whole cake baking plan, that was my selfish choice," so yada yada, and then Capone is like, not listening to his wife and just attacking anyway. And
but then again, I mean, they're really kind of have to defeat Katakuri in order to maybe there's a way that we just haven't thought of, but it seems like he has to. So
yeah, it's interesting because like with this week's manga chapter, it's like, oh well, I guess being the guy who can beat Katakuri still isn't getting you super far.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's shown after all. So.
Yeah, I thought this was a great episode.
It was very good,
very stretched out.
Yeah,
but the whole thing is really well done.
It's very good. I enjoyed the, as you said, the music choices and the emotional resonance of all the stories that were sort of featured in this week's episode. There weren't any silly fights with Germa and unknown members of the Charlotte clan. I was getting tired of those.
Yeah, it's really, it looks solid. It's like just it's directed well. Like there's a lot of thought put into how the episode is supposed to make you feel. Yeah. And it gets there. So.
All right, cool. Should we
move on to the next segment?
Yes, I am.
This is the Piece Together segment where we throw questions at you, comments at you, theories at you, and it really has no effect at the end. But we're going to try all of it anyway. Let's start out, Ed, with
this piece.
You could join us on Discord if you are a Patreon subscriber. So, let's start with Straw Hat Pirate 9. No! This chapter, I definitely woke up some neighbors there. This chapter was so painful. First, Tama can't be dead. What the hell? Those 2-panel screams, that terrifies me. Luffy's anger at not staying at her side, that hurt so much. I did love how freaking amazing the fight between Luffy and Kaido was drawn. But then, that ending, I know we've had moments like this before, but the way that Luffy is drawn is kind of different from other times. Again, I am scared. All I could say is thank Goda. Is that how I would pronounce that? That one piece?
I guess so. Like, sorry to tangent, but I always see that written out and I'm like, it's not pronounced Ada.
Gotta. Thank God. That One Piece isn't off next week. I'm really excited to hear you all discuss this chapter. So raw reaction there. Abdul says, reading the end of this chapter, I thought, well, shit. Help. It was an amazing chapter. Looking forward to the discussion. This one comes from Herpa Burler Burler.
All right.
That's hyper. That's hyper bully. Saying PSA: the Taiko Drum arcade game is now on Switch and features "We Are" as one of the songs. That is a good PSA. Something to lift us from the depression of this chapter. Grim Pyro says, finally took long enough for Luffy to be taken down. Someone finally rooting against Luffy here, by the way. Now we could concentrate on the true king of the pirates, Buggy. Seriously, though, it only feels like the beginning of this arc, and the consequences have been pretty rough. The only thing that kind of bugs me is that Luffy went through a lot of trouble to make observation hockey better, but it doesn't seem like he used it when taking on Kaido, or at least it didn't matter.
Yeah, we haven't seen him use that newfangled observation hockey.
If I could answer a question that, well, I said, but I didn't actually ask. If you recall, when Katakuri was like kind of furious and wasn't thinking straight, he couldn't use his super observation hockey. I don't know what you want to call it.
That's true.
And Luffy was kind of in that state here. Any other thoughts on the disc piece we got, or just the utter hopelessness from our listeners so far?
Luffy will be okay.
God, it sounds like you just assume the main character. What was it? Heroes Never Die. What was that? What was that from? That was a One Piece thing.
The shirt.
It was the shirt.
Oh, I have that shirt.
Yeah, heroes never die, except this time.
It's
and last week.
Start
and then
living before you start dying. That one.
That's a different shirt.
Oh,
that's the Ace shirt.
So
AKA the best shirt.
So let's move on to emails. This one comes from Connor from far off Norfolk, Virginia. This is fun. He said it's his 5th anniversary since he started listening to us. Which sounds like a long time, but we've been going on way too long. The One Piece podcast, he says, got me started into podcasts, and I just want to thank you all for doing such a great job of making interesting conversation and entertainment. You're a constant outlet of One Piece discussion for me when I can't get much anywhere else. So I'm just reading compliments from people. I think we could move on. No. Anyway,
It is a good way to get your email read on the show.
Well, he does continue. Shall I continue with the compliments? I feel like I can. Self-aggrandize. When I started listening, he said it felt like there was such a long history to the show and its inside jokes, and now that I've officially been a fan for the majority of your run, I thought I'd whip up a few stats to interest or scare you. Okay, so here we go. He is in his early 20s, so the show has been part of nearly a fourth of his life. I am 31, and the show has been nearly a third of mine, by the way. That's a scary thing. He said, I've been listening to every episode and special. If we treat the average length of an episode at 2 hours, then I've spent 1,120 hours, or 46 and a half real days, listening to the podcast. I could only imagine how much time you have spent making it. Not to make another Simpsons reference, but I've wasted my life. He continues, granted a lot of time was spent multitasking or during travel, but it's still impressive. Here's to 46 more days of podcasting before One Piece ends its run. Thank you for your consideration and keep up the great work. Everyone who's ever been a part of the show is doing something amazing for the One Piece community. Thank you. It was a really nice email.
Oh, there you go, Zach. You may be poor of wallet, but you're rich in compliments.
At least I got $20, $25, depending on the day. Next one comes from Andrew, who said, hey, One Piece Podcast, want to get your thoughts on something. Luffy's defeat at the hands of Kaido really reminds me of Luffy's defeat, we did mention this, at the hands of Aokiji during their first meeting. And after losing to Aokiji, Luffy managed to develop Gears 2 and 3. Do you think we will get something similar after Luffy's current loss? I personally don't want or think Gear 5 is on the horizon, but maybe a new form of Gear 4, similar to Snake Man, maybe Dragon Man. Oh my god, this guy read our minds, but before we said the things. Keep up the fantastic work. Good job, Andrew. You said all the things we said. But before, technically he did say it before us.
He did, yeah.
He said it, how many hours ago did he send that in? 8 hours before we recorded here.
Jeez, it's like he must have looked into the future and then sent this email into the future using his time fruit.
The Toki.
Panic.
Yeah,
Didn't we
I
already
think
do that joke?
I think some developments of new powers are probably inevitable. Although I think it'll be a combination of that and like what Steven's saying, where they're gonna have to find an alternative route to at least at the very least level the playing field a bit.
And not to double up on my comic book guy-ness this week, but Gears 2 and 3 were actually developed because of his fight with CP9 when he saw all of the, Rokushiki or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Because, well, he mentioned
developed...
like, after Aokiji, I've been thinking about new ways to protect my crew.
So it was it motivated him, but he didn't come up with Gears 2 and 3 until he, as I think he said, met you guys. And I think those gears were kind of developed as more of a result of, well, I guess it was a combo. Okay.
The real hero was Luno from the bar. That's who really got him forward, yeah.
Obviously. Stephen, you have it exactly correct. Next one comes from Martin. I've noticed that the members of the One Piece fan community have been complaining lately about how the strength of some characters have been inconsistent, and he blames these complaints on Dragon Ball for making a very easy, measurable power system. Do you think One Piece has a power creep problem?
Okay,
I mean,
first
even
of
Dragon
all,
Ball shits
on Dragon Ball shits on that immediately, I think. Yeah.
I was going to say, like, there's nothing easy and like about that power scaling. As soon as they get rid of scouters, it all goes out the window. And there's, don't kid yourself about Dragon Ball's power scaling.
I'm sorry, what was his actual question again?
It was, do you think there's power creep? Do you think there's a problem in power creep in One Piece?
I don't know.
I don't know if it's a problem, but obviously every villain is stronger than the last one.
I mean, that's generally how shonen works, right? Like,
right?
Yeah.
With the exception of Foxy. Foxy, I think, is the one villain that isn't like strong, but he had like a power that was interesting, and he used cheating in order to overcome his own obstacles.
You could say that with a few of them. I mean, Hody Jones cheated by taking a bunch of drugs. Don't do drugs, kids. Or else you turn into an old man.
Unless it's legal in your state.
What did he call them again? Oh yeah, they were evil drugs.
Yeah, energy steroids.
Evil energy steroids. Anyway, Sam. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, just like I think the series is always. I mean, I guess I'd have to look into more like which aspects people are complaining about, but like the series has always kind of been pretty lax about, especially the monster trio and how they get stronger. Like Zoro's the only one we ever see work out, and yet Luffy and Sanji are always around his level. Power ups just kind of get pulled out of their ass. Like when did Luffy come up with, like, when did Luffy develop Gear 2? Like, guys, how did he know that was a thing he could do?
I just realized the Straw Hat pirates aren't all dead. Zoro's still okay.
No, yeah, that's what One Piece is about now.
It's just Zoro.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, me too, actually.
It's called Wander Piece.
He got lost so bad he's already at Raftel.
Yeah.
Steven, what would it be called?
It's called Wander Piece now.
Wander Piece?
Wander Piece.
I don't know. I think that the series has always asked for a little bit of flexibility from the audience on that stuff.
For sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's going on Reddit, Steven? I'm sure we have no questions there.
Nope, none. In fact, Samuel1698 sums it all up for us. What do you guys plan on doing now that the podcast has to end? It was a nice run. 20 years of One Piece isn't bad. But now that Luffy is dead, where do you think Oda will take this? Maybe we'll follow Law for a few chapters until the series rounds up.
We literally have gotten this question at least 3 times before. And my answer always is, I'm going to sleep more. I don't know.
You're going on vacation anyway.
Yeah, it's actually perfect time for me to leave. Luffy's dead. The world is doomed.
Luxury sedan.
No, hold on. The world isn't quite doomed if everybody votes tomorrow.
No, as of them listening, if they downloaded it the same day we're recording this, they are voting today.
Oh
And,
yeah, that's right.
and most people are probably listening after the election happened, so they'll know if we were actually
Hey.
doomed or not.
You know what I learned this year? I learned that if you early vote on Halloween, you get free candy.
Oh
So-
shit.
New York has some really shitty laws when it comes to that. You can't, there's no early voting. It's like the strictest law. It's so stupid and annoying, and I didn't get any candy.
You have state primaries on one day and federal primaries on another day.
Yeah, that's pretty insane too. You have to register months and months and months ahead of time. We have closed primaries, which a bunch of states do. Anyway, how did we get onto this topic? Oh yeah, we're going to be starting our politics podcast. To answer your question.
Yeah, I actually got recommendations for the politics podcast you guys tried to start 2 years ago.
Oh God.
Apparently the Twitter account is still active and it thinks that I should follow it.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, no, that we would have had a lot of material for that. I'll put it that way. Go ahead.
You'd have lost your mind.
Oh, it's already gone.
Books is Cool says, in the opposite of how things normally go in One Piece and how things will likely go with Tama, is there a character in One Piece who died of something that shouldn't reasonably kill anyone? I'm calling Corazon because it doesn't seem like bullets do anything. Shoutouts to that guy who got killed by a jelly bean.
Kuina?
Yeah, but people fall down the stairs and
I guess
die all the time. I don't know. Usopp's mom, she just kind of died from being left by her husband, right?
Mother
Pretty
disease.
Sanji's mom, I was about to say also.
Yeah.
There's that disease you ordered.
She died from having quadruplets or whatever it was.
Postpartum depression, I think, is what you're trying to get to there.
Died of a broken heart.
Yeah. Prince Cheddar, I'm sorry you can't send a question that's just an entire page of text. I will try to sum it up here. Has a theory about, or a question: do we know for sure that the 20 kings who founded the world government were actually kings? And is kind of posing a, would this be interesting question if, based on the number of arcs that have revolved around, pirates trying to take over a kingdom, if that is actually, in a sort of twist of dramatic irony, also sort of what a lot of those, original kings had done as well. I mean, I think that's kind of just true of most nations in history in general. Is at some point you go back and there's a guy who took over and killed a bunch of other people to become the king. But would that be an interesting kind of pattern that could come back around in a more centralized way, as being part of the, I guess, the story of the celestial dragons being illegitimate in a sense. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not going to read a whole novel. Black Star says, hey, OPP crew, I was thinking of how much this chapter with Kaido reminds me of Luffy versus Crocodile. Mm-hmm. Crocodile was one of the few Straw Hat villains that brought me a sense of dread and uncertainty until now. Do you think we could see a situation where Luffy is in over his head, leaving the crew in alliance with the task of saving him from Kaido? To me, this would allow more members of the crew and samurai to shine, which is something I personally would like to see in this arc.
I think that makes sense. Just with the way that, especially it fits right in with, him getting imprisoned somewhere near Kid.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
so
you've been
really fits in there.
Yeah, like what if
that drum today?
What if Jinbei comes back and all the Straw Hats are together again, except now it's Luffy who's the odd one out who is separated.
That would be interesting. I'd like to see that. Big J of today says, loved the Dressrosa read through. I had to give a shout out to the line by Alex when you were talking about Doflamingo as Dr. Evil, when he added Gum Gum No Zip It. It didn't get much love at the time because the bit was going on for a while, but I loved it. What read-throughs are you doing past Dressrosa? Well, if you heard of the intro, yes, we are. I guess the plan is to schedule them monthly because of the activity crunch of the end of the year, and Zach having some personal stuff that will take him away.
Good personal stuff, but a lot of it.
Yes, good personal.
Sometimes when you say personal stuff, it just doesn't sound good.
His personal issues that we're not going to talk about. So we should have the rest of Dressrosa in December, and then
probably later January for Zoe, just because of the holidays. Look, I am Jewish, whatever with we'll probably let people celebrate holidays. So it'll probably be mid-January for Zoe, and Whole Cake Island after that. And I'm going to bet Wano is not done by February 2019. So that one you're going to have to wait a little while. There's probably I don't think we're going to do an Arcs of Consequence again. And I know this is like kind of the next question that usually comes from that. I kind of want to do that in 2020 because that'll be our 5th anniversary of the Arcs of Consequence. So we might as well just wait for that. Unless you guys want to do it earlier. And by you guys, I don't mean you guys listening. I mean you guys here. But that's my very tentative thought at the moment.
I think every 5 years is a pretty good meter for figuring out arcs. Yeah,
I agree. Next.
All right. Robert OP says, why do you think Kaido was easily able to take down Gear 4 Luffy, while when Doflamingo kicked Luffy in Gear 4, he bounced off because Luffy was still rubbery? Why do you think this didn't happen to Kaido? Was it because of the power Kaido put into this swing?
His clubs have spikes.
Sea Stone? No, but oh man. Okay, well, maybe Kaido is such a badass that like Sea Stone doesn't affect him. I don't know.
I mean, I was just gonna say
maybe there's some hockey going on.
He's just that strong. I mean,
yeah, I was gonna say if he, pardon my French, but maybe it's just because Kaido makes Doflamingo look like a pussy because he's just that much tougher. Like, I mean, at some point it just kind of distills down to that, doesn't it? All right, Natachi says, given the difference in strength between Kaido and Luffy, which kind of power-up for Luffy is more plausible? New levels of Haki strength, new gear attack, or awakening of his devil fruit? I personally would like to see Luffy being able to use observation, armament, and Conqueror's Haki while being in Gear 2, since the form is easier to maintain and doesn't expand his body much. So I guess we did bring this up, but maybe we could do like a little vote here. Like, what do you think is more likely? Haki, Gear 5, or Awakening?
It's hard. I hope Luffy learns power collaboration.
Can you throw in a wild card?
Yeah. All right. What's the wild card?
Can you throw in just a wild card as one of the other choices as well?
Just none of the above?
Yeah, like something just completely out of the box. That's what I would bet, because I think Oda likes bucking conventions, as I think he did in this chapter pretty well. So that would be my vote. I know it's kind of a cop-out thing, but I actually think none of the above would be my answer.
It's hard to see a scene like what we saw in this chapter and be like, oh, well, clearly the answer is Luffy just needs to power up this thing or that thing. Like, it's kind of one of those like toss out the book and start over type of situations, it seems to me.
Yeah. Of those, like Gear 5 would be the only one I'd kind of like want to see, just because I like seeing new like gear designs. But as far as like what's most likely, I don't know.
Yeah. Bartolomeo says, I have a new crackpot theory I want to share with you. When Big Mom said that Kaido owed her a debt, she referred to an episode when Kaido visited Totoland. While there, he went on a crazy bender on Liqueur Island, thrashed the place, and Big Mom let him go without paying for the damages. What Kaido didn't know is that the reason Big Mom did so is because all of Totoland is actually insured against the attacks of non-lucid 28-foot tall emperors. Kaido will then find out that Big Mom made a bunch of money thanks to him, but still pretended she had to pay herself in order to force him into a lifelong debt, and so he will turn against her. So, insurance fraud. That's what we're getting into here. All right, Steak and Salad said, Oda Shirt is a big Halloween fan. 10 years ago, we got Thriller Bark, and now this year, Luffy went to Kaido's house dressed up as Bellamy.
That's almost as good as his username, that joke.
Oh, God, that's a good one.
That is a good one.
That's really good.
Trick or treat gets clonked face.
Kids never dress up as Bellamy for Halloween. You will get clocked. Yeah.
Tricky Nibbles says, I felt as though you guys were glamorizing a very dangerous behavior last week. For the sake of the impressionable youth out there, I think someone should come right out and say it. Folks, don't drink and dragon. Also, would this be an appropriate venue to solicit free legal advice? Thanks, and keep up the amazing work. Well, Zach and Ed?
Can you say that one more time?
Legal advice is worth what you pay for it.
What was the question?
Good. Yeah. Would this be an appropriate venue to solicit free legal advice?
No. Also, because if I gave you free legal advice, I'd be liable for the advice you took. And no. And there's also like tens of thousands of people listening who may also take that advice. And also, as Ed said, money, please.
Money, please.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll go with Galadius Wing Zero, who says, what are your One Piece guilty pleasure characters that you don't usually admit you have a strong liking for? For me, it's Diamante. I always enjoyed his facial expressions, voice actor, and Devil Fruit.
No guilty pleasures, just pleasures.
Yeah.
Guilty gifters.
I feel like in order... Yeah, I feel like in order for it to be a believable guilty pleasure, it has to be someone that like we individually trash on the podcast. Like, you know, that would be like Alex saying like, actually, I really like Law or something, you know, something like that.
If I do give Law a lot of shit, but I think I've always thought that his power is really cool. I also really like Ace, by the way. I think I've trashed Ace.
I never knew that about you.
But I actually really like him, and I think he has a cool hat. So
he's like Malibu Stacy with the new cool hat?
That's right.
Malibu AC.
Maddie, are you making your own episode titles?
Boom, roast.
I'm only here when I have really, really good lines. And the rest of the time, it's just nothing. So people think I'm super clever.
You're doing the George Costanzaing it, yeah. Just come in here, say an amazing thing, leave, and everyone's gonna be like, "Wow, that Maddie is just really funny." Go ahead.
Oh boy. Let's see.
Else?
Guilty pleasures? Is that what was it was the guilty pleasure characters? That was the question?
Yeah.
Not Satori and not Wanzi.
I don't embrace guilty pleasures. I enjoy all of my pleasures.
Yeah. And I like Satori. There's nothing. Yeah, I love Satori. So
I love Vanderdecken.
You know what?
Yeah.
No.
I would say that too. I really like Vanderdecken. I think he gets a bad rap on this.
No.
Yeah. It's not. That's actually not a bad one because I think his motivation is fucking shit, but I do love his design and his laugh.
For the opposite reason, my guilty pleasure, and it's only over the last 2 years, is going to be Hody Jones.
Ooh.
Wow.
Scalding hot take.
It's a brave statement, Zach.
It is. Yeah.
I was trying to think. I had something on my mind. I think I don't know if this counts as a guilty pleasure, but I think definitely like an example of at least a character who really turned around for me was like at first I really hated Foxy, and now he's like one of my favorites. I guess that's more of just like a personal acceptance of like, okay, it's okay. He's just comedic relief. Like it's okay for a villain who is strictly comedic relief, and he's great, absolutely great at that.
Yeah, I'm trying to get over Senior Pink. People either love him or hate him, and I'm like, I don't know.
I like him.
I don't know. I'm still very torn on that.
I still do not like him.
Yeah,
that's me. I know that's not a very popular opinion out there, but his misogyny is still kind of too much for me to like get through. And also, it's a stupid backstory. I'm sorry. Just don't. He's addicted to Crimahall. Don't.
Hey, come on. Save it for the read through. Do you have any guilty pleasure One Piece characters? Tweet at us when we release the episode.
All right. Let's see. I will hand off Reddit with Ogre here because this is I can give an informative answer to this question. Ogre says, "Hi OPP, during Rogers Base live reaction, I'm guessing that was probably this morning, some people mentioned a tagline at the end of the scanlations that read, 'Such is Kaido, the strongest creature.' I remember text like this from when I used to read scans. Are they actually included by the authors and left out by Viz?" Yeah, so this
like
is
editors, right?
Yeah, this is referring to like promotional text, and yeah, I believe it is the editors who write these at the end of each chapter of every manga in Jump has a little like bit of splash text.
It's like the narrator at the end of episodes of Dragon Ball Z. Is this the end of Goku?
Yeah, kind of. And it is it's promotional material that appears in Jump, and kind of similar to like, so in every issue, if you pick up an issue of Jump off the the newsstands at the convenience store or the train station or whatever in Japan, every chapter, in addition to having the chapter, like the the tops and the margins of every page is like stuffed with little advertisements and character profiles and just all of this stuff, and all of that gets not only does it get removed for the tankobon, the physical volumes when they get collected, but we also remove pretty much all of it for the English release of the chapters as well in Viz's Weekly Shonen Jump. And the reason for this, I would say, is that it is, like I said, it is promotional material. Like, so these little notes that they say, they're like they're basically the equivalent of like when when a TV show is over and they have like I don't know who still does this. I know the BBC does this, but like, they're running the credits and there's an announcer who comes in and says like, well, that was an exciting adventure. Tune in next week when we find out, what happens to, when Doctor Who challenges blah, 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 or whatever it is.
It sounded more like you were doing a Canadian accent there than a British accent.
Yeah, sure, whatever. I wasn't doing an accent. This is, and now stay tuned for this show coming up next. It's like the equivalent of that. It's just kind of a little blurbs that they put in that help make it visually clear where the chapter ends, and then the next page will be something different. And Viz has its own promotional stuff that the editors write, and it's usually like the pages at the start of the chapter where they give you some character profile. They have a little blurb about what's going on. They have the ads for the latest English volumes that are coming out, and they always have the coming next issue page at the very end of the issue. That's just how they do it, and they don't include all of these Japanese editor comments because they have their own. We have our own promotional stuff that gets written for it. It's not necessary. It's not part of the permanent product. It gets removed when the individual volumes come out anyways. So
think of it this way: basically, you see more art. I mean, far and away than in the Japanese version. Not just because of that, but the cover pages have tons of text on it too, right?
Yes, the cover pages have like advertisement text, and the color pages as well have tons of margin text, and depending on, I think they don't really do it so much for One Piece anymore. I think Oda has earned the right to not have his art covered, but like every chapter 1 that has the big color spread after the first page, like that's always just covered with text in the Japanese edition, and you get it totally clean in the English edition. So there are ways in which it's definitely a benefit. I think,
and also if you live in Japan, you get it on that crappy newspaper quality, and it just you don't understand how much better it looks in the Shonen Jump digitally than it does picking it up in the Shonen Jump in Japan. Anyway, that's it for Reddit.
Yeah, we can move on.
Ed, it's time to
Peace the tweet.
You tried to yell at me with Peace the tweet, Ed, but it did not affect me at all. So what do we got?
Sorry, that sounded like an Earthbound battle text.
All right, there was a lot of Piece the Tweet this week, so I'm going to try and avoid some of the ones we've already discussed. Apologies if your question does not get asked. The first one comes from One Piece Center, who wants to thank Maddie for all the art she gives us every week, and congrats on studying abroad in Japan. And what is the story behind your Oh That's Raspberry username?
Yeah, thank you so much. So it is a Simpsons reference. It is a reference to the episode King Size Homer. Where the one where he gets really fat. It's like a really tiny part where he steals an ice cream truck and he's driving by and he's just like eating this ice cream and he just goes, "Oh, that's raspberry." You can find it on YouTube if you just look up Homer ice cream truck. It's like my favorite scene in The Simpsons ever. So
well, we'll post it.
It's such a great joke because Lisa's just talking about how her father's on some food crazed maniac and he drives by in the stolen ice cream truck.
I think that's one of my 2 favorite episodes. Also, he's so fat he has his own congressperson or whatever that was, wasn't it? Or he has his own zip code.
I like the one his dad's butt prevented the release of poison.
Oh yeah, for one.
It's a good one. The other one
fingers you have dialed are too fat. To obtain a special dialing one, please match the keypad with your fist now.
Oh, that's such a great episode.
Very good episode.
All quotable. And we were saying this before the show. That came from One Piece Center, who's a very good Twitter account you should follow. But it's like, I was wondering, like, how could you listen to this show and not know that reference? I feel like you'd be like so lost on our show. You didn't want to ask Brian's question from the third, Ed? I like that one.
Oh, that's several days.
No, it's
I'll get that here. Yeah, so our very own Brian Newton says, I don't know if anyone has asked this, but similar to everyone's minister roles, what would be the podcast crew Wano infiltration names?
I feel like only Steven and maybe Maddie could actually give us these, right? Because I don't know any Japanese.
Sam Taro sounds like Ham Taro.
Oh my god, I want to see a hamster version of Sam so badly now.
Samster.
And he'd be giant. Sam is like the same height as Steve, so it would be a big hamster. You'd be like, whoa, that Samster is enormous. What?
Does anyone else have one?
We got off track there quick. Steven, what would your name be?
My Wano undercover name?
Yeah, your Wano undercover name.
That's a tough one because my name it's one of those names that is terrible to convert into Japanese. Like it's just very awkward.
Yeah, mine's not great either because I have like the D sound in it.
I'd be Zaku because I kept thinking of Gundam every time anyone mentioned me in Japan. Oh, Zaku-san. I'm like, what? I'm the bad guys in Gundam. Yeah.
They weren't always. It's complicated.
I was simplifying things.
The Earth Sphere Alliance is not, without sin. Anyway,
wrong show.
We're getting off on a lot of tangents today. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the bad Gundam.
The best Gundam. Connor asks, place your bets. Do you think Wano as a whole arc will have more or less than 80 chapters? It's been a couple months since we last answered this question.
More. 80 was Whole Cake Island was around 80, so I think more.
Well, Zach, just pull out the list of
you're gonna have to give me a couple minutes.
Calculate them for all of us. Just subtract.
Give me a couple minutes, and I'll get back to you.
Without math, does anyone have opinions on that?
I think it could easily be over, but I don't remember what I think I voted over.
Ed, why wouldn't we want to use math?
Oh crap! Yeah. When did we all predict this arc would end?
I'm looking for that right now. It's like deep
like
in
that?
my index card drawer, so give me a couple minutes here.
I'm probably way off.
Okay, let's move on to the next question.
I found it.
Oh, great.
Wait, no, this can't be right. Oh, no, this is when Olympus ends? Oh, no. Yeah, this would be when Olympus ends. Equally important predictions. Jill won that one, by the way. And she still has not pitched in. Okay, go ahead.
Next one comes from Twos, who says, I actually saw some people being convinced that Otama is actually dead. I really doubt that, though. Speed still calls for Master, so her devil fruit still works.
Yeah.
I also don't think Oda would just kill off a small child like that. What do you think?
Well, he almost had.
Well, he did kill off a whole group of children last arc, so
And
also flashback.
And also Law, his entire school was killed. Also in a flashback. And and Zoro's very good friend, we just mentioned that, Rina died. There's a lot of kids who've died in this series, but mostly in flashbacks.
All right, Ghost Starch says, I bet that the place where Whitebeard and Roger were sharing a drink and where Heroic was talking about with the Sakura are one and the same. It's most likely on one of the mountains of Wano, which means Shutenmaru and his mountain bandits may take us there soon.
And if that's true, how do you think Kaido was involved in that? Do you think Kaido had when did Kaido arrive? 20 years ago? To
Yeah.
So
or at least 20 years ago, something like that.
I'm wondering how the timeline lines up there if Roger and Whitebeard were in Wano when...
Well, it was 24 years ago when Roger died. I guess we don't really know when Kaido showed up.
Ah, shit. We're going to need math for this one, too.
Well, I don't know.
All right. Next one comes from 20th Century Girl, who says, say it isn't so. This chapter had so many defeats. I wonder what was the last chapter with such a downer ending. Also, since the time skip, Luffy was never KO'd in a fight. Not much of a shock with Kaido, but it's interesting that Kaido didn't use Haki. I don't know if that's confirmed, but it doesn't appear as though he did.
Remember when the Thousand Sunnies sank? That was the last time. And we never saw or heard of any of the Straw Hats again after that.
That's the thing about that. Like, you have to you almost immediately have to undo it when you do stuff like this. But this chapter, that could set the whole arc.
I found it, guys.
All right.
And we probably need more predictions from people. Oh, here's the other Olympus contest. I guess 950 for when Olympus would end, by the way. So that was on purpose. When will Wano end? I did not want to win this contest, keep in mind, because I won the other one, and it's not fun if I win.
What's the chapter number this week?
This week is 924, right?
Okay.
923? Wait, I'll find out right now. Anyway, 923. I said 1100. Ed said 969.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely for that reason. Alex said 981. Steven said 990. Maddie said 1001, and Kelly said 975. Oh, Sam, I don't have yours.
I don't think I've.
Yeah, what do you want to say?
I'm going to be the weirdo. I'm going to say
Possible.
970. Actually, that's not that weird, is it?
No, you kind of stuck yourself in the middle there. When did now let me find out when this started. Let's do some math here. I think it was like 9. I think you're right. I think it was around 910.
I think 909 is what I have on my official style sheet for One Piece. On the worksheet for the Wano arc. So
cool. Yeah, what did I put here? I put 909. Yeah, Okay, so what is 923?
Well, that's still pretty long. Like
So it's
70
no, isn't it 13? 12? I don't know. What am I doing here? Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, the next one? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to say, is there?
Next one comes from Operation Chirrut. It says, if Zack and Ed were divorce lawyers, who would they represent in the One Piece world?
Why are we getting so many legal questions this week?
I don't know. I think I'd
Who needs a
represent-
divorce? How many people are
Sora,
married?
Sora needed a divorce. That's what
Oh yeah,
They heard you weren't giving away advice for free, so now they're trying to get it stealthily.
So in a divorce case, no, I'm not a divorce lawyer. So what? I'm trying to think of what married couples there are.
Sora, I said Sora needed a divorce.
I know who I would represent. I would represent Big Mom because I would be doing very well.
All of the big...
Yeah, because I don't know if she gets married to them first, but at the very
Taylor with more children.
At the very least,
Yeah,
like alimony and all that, like I'd be doing pretty damn.
The lawyers are raking it in.
Yeah, exactly. Like no matter the lawyers are for Big Mom are definitely
or would
doing
she marry you to be her lawyer husband? So she gets her lawyer kids.
I wouldn't fall for that.
Zach, what about isn't this a question of ethics?
It is a conflict of interest to represent family members.
I don't. If I married to her, yeah, then it would be a conflict.
No. I was just saying because Big Mom's got a history of murder.
As long as I'm not aware of an ongoing, of a ongoing crime or a crime that is in progress of some sort. There's an ethical standard.
Do they still exist in 2018?
To be
Ethical
fair,
standards.
I think I would be the Better Call Saul of the One Piece world in this circumstance. I am not actually that, but in this circumstance, you would have to be that to represent Big Mom or really anyone in the One Piece world. Yeah. Okay, so what's next, Ed?
Next one comes from the Sea Freak, who says, it probably already been said, but Wano's going to be about the rest of the Straw Hats rescuing Luffy's bouncy rubber ass. He saved Robin from furries and Sanji from diabetics. Now it's their turn to retrieve their captain from Mega Mushu. For you fans of Mulan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
All right, and also a shout out to Dennis and a few other people who chimed in saying that Luffy and Kid will probably end up in the same dungeon together. So I just wanted to shout that out. Next one comes from 91 Ryan, who says, when today's chapter gets adapted into the anime, it's going to be on 10 anime one-sided fights. Oh, top 10 anime one-sided fights. Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
Is that a Watch Mojo?
It's also gonna be that one guy who does that really that's very specific style of animation. I know exactly the guy.
Shida? Naotoshi Shida?
I should probably know that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Here's an interesting sort of little top 3 ranking thing. Nura G123 says, hey OPP, what are your top 3 fight scenes that you like to rewatch? Ours are Lucci versus Luffy ending, Crocodile versus Luffy 3, and Sanji and Zoro versus the Groggy Monsters. That is an underrated. That's an underrated
really
one.
Good.
It is.
That is a really good one.
I've watched Zoro versus Mr. One like 50 times.
It helps because it's like a whole episode of nothing but that.
Yeah, so I've watched like a good example of that is Ace versus Blackbeard. I used to watch that. In the anime particularly, it's probably one of like just the most well done episodes because it is just standalone.
Aokiji, Luffy and Aokiji.
Yeah,
that's always fun to watch.
Good.
Wait, so what was the question exactly?
The ones you like to most rewatch.
The fights.
Yeah.
Which could just be like specific scenes. Or
they don't even have to be the best fights. It's just the ones you enjoy rewatching.
Really
Chopper
and Gadatsu. That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, Chopper and Gadatsu.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Chopper and Usopp versus Mr. Four and Miss Merry Christmas.
That's very
Luffy versus Usopp.
And the voice I love the voicing. I love the voices for Miss Merry Christmas as well as Mr. Four. I think like they both do a really bang up job in bringing that fight to life. Zero versus Mr. One. That's an easy one. Oh God.
Mihawk.
So Sanji versus Jabra is really fun to watch.
That's a good
as
fight,
is
yeah.
Frankie versus Fukuro. Frankie versus Fukuro has
It's hilarious.
It's hilarious, but those
Yeah.
episodes look great.
Yeah.
They look awesome. I don't know the director on that. It might have been Tate, but I
Yeah,
think that's just
it's
a
one of the
easy name
ones-
to drop.
Is that the one with the green sky and the lightning? That's amazing.
Yeah,
It's-
well, that was the first part of the fight. The second part of the fight is where
with Monster
over the
Chopper.
waterfall.
Yeah.
where Frankie is doing the butterfly stroke, and
Yeah.
and he uses his centaur to pin him down, but he uses the coup event. That's a great episode to watch. I'm a huge fan of that one.
The last Luffy crocodile fight, I mean, still is tops for me. Music being the main reason for that. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of good fights.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Oda and the animation staff. The anime definitely shines its brightest during big fights. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Next one comes from Michael Dreyer, who says, "Hi guys, is there any way to watch our documentary, The One Piece Podcast Goes to Japan these days?"
Working on it. I'm trying. I'm trying a lot of different avenues. Hopefully it'll be out. Hopefully it'll be out soon. I don't know. I'm sorry, I can't give a good answer. We get that question like once a month, and I still don't have an answer. It exists, like it's still fine. I just need to find a platform to put it out on because it's not allowed to be shown in Japan. So I need to make sure it's on a platform that can't be shown in Japan. Unfortunately, that's how that works. Anyway, that's my answer.
Okay. The next one comes from Stacy Chen, who says, "Wow, so Kaido is also very formidable in close combat. He knows some form of martial arts. Would Luffy have to learn martial arts as well in order to defeat Kaido? Like I imagine him in a gi learning like forms."
Wait, so what makes you think Kaido knows martial arts? He just hit the guy with a bat.
Yeah.
That's also true.
Like anyone could do that.
I just the thought of Luffy in a gi taking like instruction is very funny to me.
Well, it reminds me of that color spread. I think it was the Bruce Lee one.
I'm looking at it right now because it was the December picture from several years back.
That
Of the
still
calendar.
might be one of my favorite color spreads.
Yeah.
I think it was when we did a ranking or something.
Yeah, I'm actually surrounded by beautiful One Piece art currently because they have the Attack One Piece color spread, the Wanted 667 million color spread, and the Shichibukai 7 Warlords color spread are all December calendar picks.
I'm so excited to be able to just like hang up stuff like that. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. This is the last question here. From Enki Dude, who says, "I just fucking love how much Kaido looks like Danny Trejo. This chapter could have been called 923 Kaido Face Study. I had no dialogue or other characters, and I would be perfectly satisfied. Thanks. Go vote."
Yeah, I'm
I'm
assuming probably 95% of the people who listen to this episode will have heard this after Election Day. But for the 5%, yeah, obviously, while you're listening to this, you should be pulling a lever for the candidates that we're thinking of specifically.
Yeah, guys, Pokemon, let's go to the pool.
Yeah, go. I agree. I think it would have been. Didn't we have one of those chapters in Dressrosa? I remember really complimenting this one chapter where it was just like fist fighting between Doflamingo and Luffy, and there was like no dialogue.
Yeah, there's definitely one or two of those.
Yeah, I love that stuff when I see it. This was kind of close to that. Not quite there. Definitely a lot
Nice
of
change of pace.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first like all action chapter we've gotten since the Katakuri stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. That's all we got.
Yep.
Ed. Okay, let's round off and do my last round of trivia, so you know it's gonna be interesting. This has been the One Piece Podcast, episode 544 for November 5th, 2018. If you have not voted, go do it. And if it's too late to vote, go back in time with your time machine and vote. Before we round off with my last round of trivia until December, Maddie, where could people find you and who are you?
Hi, I'm Maddie, and I do the weekly episode art for the One Piece Podcast. You can find me on Twitter at Oh That's Raspberry, which we discussed earlier, why I have that name. I am always posting One Piece stuff, lots of drawings, etc. I also, about once a week, do a recipe from Sanji's cookbook, so that's also pretty fun. I have a Patreon, but it's ending next month, so you don't have to think about that.
Why?
Because I'm going to Japan.
Whoa. Cool.
You need money in Japan.
Yeah.
What do you mean? You can't ship stuff from Japan?
You can't pay $15 for a postcard.
You should switch to digital rewards instead of what do you call it?
I might do something, but right now I don't know what my time is going to be like or anything.
Can you pause a Patreon? Is that a thing you could do?
I don't know.
He has no idea.
I'm just trying to help.
No.
Doing a terrible job.
It's fun. It's been a fun little thing, and it's ending now. And then maybe I'll start it up again, or maybe I'll do something else. But whatever.
Fine. Enjoy Japan.
That's who I am.
Enjoy Japan, Maddie. I'll say right now, I'm just bitter because we're having a very contentious argument over what we're calling this episode. Which you'll know when you listen to it. Steven, where can people find you?
I can be found on Twitter at Translatosaurus.
Sam?
They can find me on Twitter at Lucky Chainsaw. They can find me on AnimeNewsNetwork.com doing the daily streaming reviews for One Piece, Black Clover, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Golden Wind. And you can find me on the One Piece Podcast every week doing the anime recaps.
I heard Black Clover is getting really good. Is that a fair
it gets
statement?
good and then it gets really bad.
Whoa, okay.
And then it gets really good again.
Okay. Alex, where can people find you?
Find me on Twitter and Instagram at dude all one word, and also listen to my other podcast, Toho Yaro, a Japanese film club podcast with Joey Weiser and Scott Dryman. Please bear with us. We still haven't recorded our November episode. Normally we try to do these. We try to release these on the first of the month, but our schedules have not been kind to us to get us all together to record. So look for the November episode, which is the movie Sweet Bean, mid-November.
I guess it's all of us this month. Ed, where could the good people find us?
Well, I started up a new Twitter account for old trailers that I find on anime DVDs that I get. The old anime DVDs that I
was
buy.
watching those, yeah.
It's called Weeb Trailers. I recently posted a couple of 30-second trailers for Ninja Scroll and the Perfect Blue trailer that has a pull quote from Roger Corman at the front. That was an interesting one. Also, a Street Fighter anime that I did not know existed before I saw the trailer to it. So
I
check that out.
never plug my Twitter, but if I may have travel adventures on there. We'll see. So
that Twitter is Zach_Logan. I am regularly found at Edward E. One Piece. Podcast can be found at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/One Piece Podcast. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. One Piece Podcast is our Skype name. r/One Piece Podcast. That's our subreddit. You can leave us some piece together there. Please support us. Patreon.com/One Piece Podcast. You can subscribe on SoundCloud. You can subscribe on Google Play. Subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. Or call us on our phone numbers, Zach.
And that phone number is 347-497-MAJI. That phone number again is 347-497-6254. Call anytime.
Anytime.
With your questions, your comments, your theories, or how you would beat Kaido. Because seriously, I don't know how. Apologies, Maddie, if I was too bitter right there. I don't know why I was so bitter.
We did this to you.
You did this to me.
This is my final podcast. I'm leaving.
No.
Goodbye. I'm going to Japan and never being on again.
Hey Zach, I know how they can beat Kaido.
How?
By subscribing to our podcast and our Patreon also.
That's true. If you subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/One Piece Podcast, you too can defeat Kaido. It's a guarantee.
You can beat Kaido by voting.
Guarantee vote in Tennessee.
Also, vote Vote Kaido out.
Vote Kaido out. That's really the best way, because we all know
I'll do
Wano is
it.
democratic. This is going to be one of the crazier trivia rounds I have ever done. To start, I will tell you, there are 50 answers to this quiz.
Why?
Because I like pissing you off, Ed.
Boy,
what is
time to
it?
bring out the old hemorrhoid donut.
Misery loves company? Is that what they say? So what was the order we went? It's going to be Steven first, then Alex, Sam, and Ed. I'm just writing that down. This is the category. Luffy has been in a lot of fights over the course of One Piece. Please name every fight Luffy has been in from before and including the Shabari Archipelago arc, according to the One Piece wiki. So again,
Just like name the opponent he fought.
name the opponent he fought, and or if you include who he fought with.
So it's going from Sabati forward.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, so nothing before Sabati.
And we're doing nothing after. No, the other way around. Sorry, Ed was
okay,
exactly incorrect. It's everything before they all got blasted away, essentially, and including that.
right.
We're gonna play this as we normally play this game. If you have to guess one. You have a certain amount of time. If you can't get it in that amount of time, if you guess one someone has already guessed, or if you guess one that's incorrect, you are out. Now, some of these have multiple fights. They each count. So let's say Luffy fought me in the forest, and he fought me in Florida. Those would each be separate fights. So please be specific.
Florida, Zach.
I will ask you to be specific if there's multiple ones. Anyway, let's begin. Steven.
Wait, so we have to go in order?
No, you just have to say any of them, any of the 50. There are 50
Luffy
of them.
versus Lucci.
Yes, I have to find all these too since there's so many.
Control F, Zach.
No, I'm doing this on a piece of paper I printed.
Nerd.
Because I'm old school. Alex.
Luffy versus Morgan.
Yes. Sam.
Luffy versus Zoro on Little Garden.
Yes. Can you also name who else he was fighting in that? That's a weird one. You probably can, right? It's
mostly just those two, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Nami showed up, but
You mean Whiskey Peak?
Whiskey. Yeah. What did you say, Little Garden?
what did I say? Oh, Little Garden, Whiskey Peak.
It's
yeah.
fine. You said the fight. You said a fight that existed. Ed.
The Lord of the Coast.
Yeah. Nice. I hope you're not cheating, because I'll kick you off this podcast.
I'm just going in chronological order.
That's the way to go.
All the way back to episode 1.
By the way, I mean chronologically. Not story chronologically. I mean actual chronologically happening before Shabati. Just keep that in mind. Steven.
Luffy versus Helmeppo.
Mm-hmm. Where are you, Helmeppo? It happens that it's not
You
just
punched
one.
him.
Yeah. No, I'm sure. Well, which one? One of them technically isn't taken. But...
In the base town.
So that one's
Shelltown? Is that what it's
already.
called?
So that one is also the Morgan fight. So I've already crossed that out. But he does it again. Can you name that other time he fights Helmeppo?
At the end of Water 7. Water 7? Yeah.
Some of these are kind of nebulous, so I'll let you know.
Alright,
Alex. Yeah.
Luffy versus Alvida.
Yes. Now you guys are going in kind of an order. Sam.
Luffy versus Kuro.
Yes. Where are we, Ed?
Luffy versus Buggy.
Yes. Steven.
Luffy versus Boodle.
See, that's not listed here, but that did happen. And I know
Yeah,
that
that counts.
happened.
It's ass.
So I'm going to count it. That you know whose fault that is for not including that.
The wiki.
The One
The
Piece
wiki. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, it can be edited by anybody.
So can someone edit that for us and include that on that page? Alex.
Luffy versus Moji.
Mm-hmm.
Does that count
Sam.
Richie too?
That does count Richie as well.
Okay.
Sam.
Luffy, Sanji, and Usopp versus Satoru.
You just said that because you know I hate it. Perfect, Sam. Ed.
Luffy versus Arlong.
Yes. Steven.
Luffy versus Don Krieg.
Yes. Alex.
Luffy versus Smoker in Logtown.
Good. I was gonna say. I was originally gonna make this quiz. When did he lose or draw? But that got very complicated because they're very nebulous. So that's why I did this.
Yeah.
Sam.
All the Straw Hats versus the Pacifista on Sabaody.
Do you remember which Pacifista?
Ooh.
Oh, that's.
You don't. I'm
No,
gonna
I
give it
didn't.
to you. I'm just asking if you remember. Does
I did
anyone
not.
remember which
There's
PX?
3-7?
Oh, the number.
No, 4.
P-
4.
PX4, I was going to say.
Okay. Where were we? That was Sam. Ed.
Luffy versus Pearl.
I'm sorry. Pearl just makes me laugh.
That's Mr. Pearl.
No, I don't have. Didn't Luffy? I thought Luffy did fight Pearl. Or was that Sanji who fought Pearl?
Sanji fought Pearl.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ed. You were out.
What? Really? Oh man.
Apparently,
Luffy got.
Luffy
a hit
was
in there
around.
somewhere.
he was there. Yeah, he was in the
He
area.
was watching.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, look at that, Steven."
I always remember Luffy getting hit in the head, but I guess that was Sanji, wasn't it?
Yeah, Steven.
Luffy versus Laboon.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
You guys like the first half of this list. You've got mostly down. There's some you're missing here. Alex.
Luffy versus Luffy versus Dory.
Yep, I remember that. Yeah, there it is. Sam.
Luffy versus Wiper.
Yeah. Steven.
Luffy versus Mr. 3.
Where are you? I know that one's definitely true. I just have to find it.
Did they use his real name or
so
something?
they listed as Luffy, Usopp, Karu, Zoro, Nami, and Vivi versus Mr. 3 and Golden Week. But yes, that counts. Alex.
Okay. So let's see. Luffy versus Chess, Kuromarimo, and Wapol.
Where are we here? I just have one of those characters. Would you like to
Fine, Wapol.
Yeah.
Luffy versus Wapol.
Because the other two, you remember who fights the other two, right?
Well, I was thinking about.
I guess he's kind of involved, but
I'm thinking about when they were going up the mountain.
oh yeah, kind of. Yeah,
That's more of a chase, I guess.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I'm not gonna count you off for that, Sam.
That's fine, yeah.
Luffy versus Crocodile round 1.
And where was that?
That was in the Big Desert area.
Yep. Steven.
Luffy versus Lapon.
The pond.
rabbit.
Yeah, why isn't that here? That should definitely be here because that definitely happened.
Yeah.
Okay. So you already have 2 on the wiki, Steven.
Yeah.
And they have
That's all I really care
They have
about is
other
running the
animals
wiki.
and stuff, so I don't understand why that one is not in it. Okay, Alex.
Luffy versus Crocodile round 2.
And where did that take place?
That took place on the palace
Yeah.
in Alabarna.
Yeah, nice.
On top.
Sam.
AKA Water Luffy versus
A lot of people that was big back in like the AP days. I know it was.
Yeah.
That's how that was
Mizu
described.
Luffy.
Oh, it was like that was one of his forms, Water Luffy. I remember it's like the DBZ kind of thing. It's Super Saiyan 1, Super
Like
Saiyan
like
2.
Nightmare Luffy.
Nightmare
Oh,
That's
Luffy.
on the wiki.
Before we had gears, it was like Water Luffy. Sam.
Luffy versus Crocodile, round 3 in the tombs underneath Alabana. Oh, Alabana.
Yeah, they call
With
it
the lead
crypt,
pipe.
but with the lead pipe. Steven.
Luffy versus Bellamy
That's
in Jaya.
What did he have his trick or treat outfit? Alex.
Let's see here. Are we counting things that Luffy's just like punched once?
Well, Bellamy he just
I
punched
am.
once.
Oh, I guess.
I
that-
I don't know to answer your question, but I'm gonna say yes because we also had Lord of the Coast, which Ed said, and that was one punch.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to say Luffy versus the Kung Fu Dugongs.
I like
Seeing
that.
if that's here. It's
Sure.
not here, but it should count. I'm gonna give that one to you also. I'm just
another
disagreeing with the I'm just disagreeing with the One Piece wiki a lot today. Sam.
Luffy versus Aokiji.
Yes. Where are we? Steven.
Luffy versus Eneru.
Yep. They call him NL. I still disagree with that. Alex.
Luffy versus Foxy.
Thought you said Foxy, but Foxy's fine. Sam.
Luffy versus Bluno.
From.
The bar.
Yeah. Steven. Could be any Bluno.
Oh boy.
Still a lot of like big ones.
Luffy versus like what is it, like 10,000 or not 10,000, like 1,000 government agents in Enies Lobby.
Yep. Marines, they call them here.
Okay.
But you're right, they were government agents. They were also government
there were
agents.
those there, yeah.
Yeah, Alex.
Luffy versus Frankie.
Ooh.
I'm
Took
going
mine.
to ask you, I think there's
There's an offshoot.
Yeah, there's two. Which one?
I'm thinking of Luffy versus Frankie.
No. You're right. There's no,
Yeah.
you're right. There's one.
No, yeah, it's just one fight. It
There's
just
one.
takes place.
In two
Yeah.
places, yeah. The Golly
But
Law
it's like-
Foreman interrupted.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
the same fight.
Sam.
I was gonna say it's Luffy, Zoro, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji,
And
Chopper
yeah, I know where you're going.
fight the Frankie family.
Yep, perfect. Sam is good at this.
Nice.
This is like
Nice.
Sam's forte here. Steven.
Luffy versus Usopp.
Yep, that's the one in the middle. Like I crossed out all the ones around him. There's actually one other one in the middle. Let's see if you get to that. Alex.
So Luffy versus Luffy
3
versus
seconds.
Lucci in Iceberg's room.
Oh, that's true. With Polly there.
Yeah, so yeah, that's Luffy versus CP9 is how they lay it out. So yeah, no, that's correct. You got that. Where are we, Sam?
Nightmare Luffy versus Oars.
Yeah. Oh god, there's a lot of these. Yeah. Okay. Steven.
Luffy versus Vivi.
Yeah.
I was sitting on that one. I was gonna wait until.
Now, does the wiki
Does that count?
that? I count it.
Yes.
Wiki.
Another
I don't
one.
understand why the
Another
wiki. Why the wiki doesn't count VV? Because that is there's the name of the chapter is Luffy versus Vivi, if I recall correctly. So wiki. So I mean, I'm sure there's some people who have done work on the wiki listening. I think we're helping you out.
They should be ashamed of themselves.
Shame, Alex.
Let's see here. Luffy versus Lucci in the Enies Lobby storeroom.
We already did the NES lobby. That all counts as one fight.
Wait, what? Luffy versus the 1,000 people in Enies Lobby?
No, Luffy
No,
versus
someone
Rob
said Luffy
Lucci.
versus
Someone
Lucci.
said it. So it's been said.
Did-
Luffy versus
they?
Lucci. It was said Luffy versus
Yeah,
Lucci.
it was said a while ago. It was said out of order.
Yeah.
About like the first one that I said.
Motherfucker.
We're left with now
See,
Sam.
this is how you. That's how you win.
That's how you win the game. That's how
Yeah.
you win the game.
Yeah.
You gotta remember what happened.
Ah.
Sam, in order to stay in the game, you need to get this one correct. Otherwise, Steven wins.
Luffy versus Moria.
You're gonna have to be way more specific.
That time at the end where he's doing Gear 2 and Gear 3 at the same time. At the end of Thriller Bark.
Can you be more specific as to Moria's form, because that is how they split these up.
Oh, what was it called? It was called the
I know what.
Demon something Asgard.
Yeah, Shadow Asgard. I'll take it. That's it.
Shadows Asgard.
Okay, you're out, Alex.
I know. I'm the peanut gallery now.
Okay, it's Steven and Sam. Steven.
How many? We're down to like just a sliver of them.
There was
right?
probably like 10 left. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you guys had a lot that were not in it. So
Yeah. Let's see if this one's it.
remember it's
Luffy.
Shaw Buddy and before. Go ahead.
Luffy versus a zombie coming out of the ground.
Okay, stop being cute and give me a real answer.
All right, all
At
right,
some
fine.
point.
Fine. Oh boy. Crap. Trying to remember like which character specifically. Luffy versus
3 seconds.
Duval.
Um,
Does he technically fight him? I don't know.
can you be less specific?
Less specific.
Oh.
The what are they called?
Yeah.
Life is Rosy Riders or the Handsome Riders or something.
What were they originally
They
called?
hadn't changed their name yet.
Yeah.
Oh god, what were they called before then?
I'm like
Oh,
really
Steven.
spoon feeding you this.
I can't remember.
Oh,
Am I
Steven.
giving this? I don't know whether to give this to you because Duval was technically in that group.
But I don't think Luffy fought him at all.
Did he not?
That's-
It's
I don't think so.
Like I'm not. I don't think he did. And the Rosy
Oh,
Life
I guess he
Riders.
did. He kind of fought the bull.
I feel like
Moto-
he did.
Motofaro.
Oh, and when he fell into the thing, he got like kicked out of the. Remember, Duval kind of like he got like he was shocked.
Are we
Like,
ending
oh, I
this
saw.
now, or what's going on? What's your decision?
Okay, I'm gonna give it to you. Flying Fish Riders. I'm being very nice.
The show must go wrong. I mean, the show must go on.
And you could leave it any time.
No, I can't. We have to record the anime recap after this.
Yeah, I want to see who wins.
Sam,
Luffy versus Blackbeard in Impel Down.
Nice.
was that after
I
or
thought-
before
Oh, yeah, it was after. Yeah.
Straw Buddy?
Oh, that's right. Shoot.
So that means Sam is out. But I really gave Steven a
Miles.
tricky one. So let's do one more round. Let's do one more. So Steven, pick one more.
Luffy
Oh, man.
versus
Luffy
Zoe.
versus anything. Before
I know
Shaw
one
Buddy
that
or
hasn't been
before.
said, and it's a good one.
There's a bunch of good ones that have not been said.
It's one of my favorite ones.
Not
Luffy
sure.
versus a one of Eneru's goat priests in the
Yeah.
forest of Skypia.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Luffy versus Charlos, the Celestial Dragon.
The Goat Priests.
Oh, that would be a good one.
I'll take it, Steven, but you're really skirting the line here.
The
Sam?
guy comes and attacks him, and he's like,
Yeah.
Luffy
Yeah,
kicks him in the face or something.
That's not on Wiki either, but again, Wiki, step your game
Yeah.
up. Sam.
All right, so you made that qualification about it being like all stuff chronological.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking Luffy versus Ace and Sabo as kids.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Good job. Those actually were each
Dang.
separate ones, so you got two right there. Steven.
Oh, I don't know. I guess that then means Luffy versus
Oh,
Blue
yeah.
Jam.
Yeah, that's not here, but that should count.
Well, he got beat up. By
He got beat up by Blue. That's a
Ace
fight.
and Sabo came to save him.
If Kaido and Luffy is a fight, then that's
that
also
Blue Jam
a
or
fight.
Pershemi?
No, that was
Blue Jam.
But no, Blue Jam. Both. You actually
Oh.
answered you answered one for them, so I'm not going to count that one. He hits him with that club, like the same club Kaido has. Remember in the room, he's beating him up. I'll take it. I think that's a little iffy. You guys are really skirting the line when there's some really clear ones still out there. Steven.
Oh, again?
Oh no, I'm sorry, Sam. We've got to finish this.
I am at the end of my rope.
I'm being very nice.
Luffy and Robin and Frankie and Zoro and Sanji versus a bunch of zombies.
Guys, can you give me like some real answers here?
It's like the 750 million berry jackpot, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Luffy was not there for that.
He was.
No, he was
Luffy
not.
was there.
So the 700 million. No, he was not there.
He was absolutely there.
No, he was out with Lola.
No, that was because that jackpot scene is very early in the arc.
Yeah, it's like right when they're starting.
No, yeah, he's not at the beginning of that fight.
What? Yes, he is, dude.
Versus a group of zombies.
Okay, fine.
He's
Whatever.
he's
Not
part-
oars.
Steve. No, I know. At the very, very, very beginning. Okay, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was thinking versus Oars when they did because they did a similar move, I think, right? Against Oars, except without Luffy. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, Steven.
Luffy versus a Cerberus zombie.
You guys are just being ridiculous.
What are
Sam.
you talking- that
None of this is on Wiki, but you're right. But it's just annoying that you keep
Oh, he
picking
didn't write
ones.
the wiki.
Well, he should have.
Luffy versus Eyelash.
You mean like as a verbal argument?
Yeah, I was like, did they?
I'm gonna get. I think you've officially stretched it too far. So I'm gonna give this to Steven. Steven will win the Taiyaki this week. You guys missed.
No, hold on. Before, don't say anything.
Oh, Alex, so go. Say as many as you can.
Luffy versus Khalifa.
Oh, I just thought of. Oh, does that happen?
I don't think Luffy
I just
was
thought of a
fight
really
Khalifa.
good one. I thought of a really
Luffy
obvious
versus Khalifa happens when they first meet Iceberg and he gets kicked in the face.
True.
Oh,
Luffy
that counts under the
versus
CP9
Marigold and
fight.
Sandersonia,
That counts
yeah.
under. No, that's after Shaba.
After
Oh,
they-
that is.
Justin.
Never mind.
The CP9 that counts under the general CP9 fight.
Luffy, Law, and Kid versus Marines.
Yes.
Luffy versus the big giant bird that eats him.
That should count.
Luffy versus and I have to say hypnotized Luffy versus the Black Cat Pirates.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think that yeah, that's not there either. So yeah, you,
Right.
Oh, here's one: Captain Kuro versus Captain Morgan. That happened.
yeah, but that's not a Luffy fight.
No, it's not. Hey.
And any others, Alex? Before you want me to just list them?
I was off getting a drink, and we're done, right?
Yeah, I was gonna just list what everyone missed, unless Alex wants to try any others.
Oh yeah, Luffy versus Cricket.
Did they actually
No,
fight?
Cricket just
No,
drowned him.
Yeah.
Yeah, never mind. Yeah, Cricket just fought Sanji. Never
Okay,
mind. List them off now.
These are, in chronological order are the ones you missed. Luffy versus Higuma. Come on, guys. The Bandit.
He landed a punch, right? Didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, Luffy.
He also got the shit kicked out of him.
He did.
That's still-
Luffy versus Kobe after defeating Morgan. Luffy
yeah.
versus Zeph.
and later too.
Luffy
Well, no,
versus.
somebody said Helmeppo, and I think that counts, right?
That's a separate one. Luffy versus Zeph.
That's the same fucking fight, though.
Luffy
versus
and
Kobe
Luffy.
Helmeppo.
There's so this I would count as the same one, but they count as two separate ones. Luffy and Sanji versus Momu, which
Oh yeah,
and
duh.
also Luffy and Momu as a weapon versus the Arlong pirates, which clever. I like it.
No, I don't. I wouldn't count.
I
that
wouldn't either.
considering
I
it's
wouldn't
his
either.
move, Gum Gum Windmill.
Yeah, I agree. Luffy versus the White Berets. McKinley, I guess that was his name, right?
Yeah, I had to remember.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
McKinley or not.
Luffy versus Gecko Moria using using Doppelman. The Castle Chase Gecko Moria fight. Straw Hat Pirates and Brook versus Oars. Luffy, this is the big one that I'm so sad none of you got. Luffy versus Charlos. A punch in the
Ed
face.
said it.
Ed said it.
Ed
I did say
it?
that.
Oh, you
I
did?
thought the game was over at
But
one point.
it was out of order.
Oh.
Just-
Okay, good. I'm glad that was said, because that's like the punch of the series.
Yeah.
I eliminated myself
and
early
then-
on, accidentally. I had a lot left to say.
And then you missed the two most low-hanging fruit. Remember, the qualification was Shabuddy and before. You missed Sentomaru and Bartholomew Kuma. But that's it. That's all of them. We're done. I'm done with trivia. I am leaving for a month. Because
wait a
this
sec.
took
Hold
too
on.
long.
When did he fight Kuma?
Well,
The real Kuma.
the real Kuma, when he
Yeah,
got
why did he fight the real
blasted
Kuma?
away. He tried, but he did not succeed.
No, he didn't try. They didn't try fighting Kuma. They ran away from Kuma.
Well,
Indeed.
okay. Well, whatever. None of you got that, and nothing lost, nothing gained. Sentomaru, they definitely did fight Sentomaru because that was the hockey. What's wrong with you? Why can't I punch you? Anyway,
This was a very tidy trivia segment.
as usual.
I honestly thought when you were suggesting that we were going to do a bonus round that you were just going to be like, all right, Zoro, go.
Yeah. I wish I had that prepared. I'm sorry. So that's going to do it for me. I'm going to see you guys in December, but we'll be back next week as usual with chapter 924. Ed and Alex will be holding down the fort for me, so thank you in advance. And I know they will be making fun of these ridiculous trivia rounds once I'm gone. Ed saying something along the lines of, "I'm not doing that shit."
Hey, maybe.
Well, fine.
You don't know
Hey,
us.
it's different when you get to do the trivia rather than playing the trivia. Like
That's right.
I guess that's true. Anyway, we'll see you next week, and I'll see you in December, everyone. My name is Zach.
my name is Ed.
And my name is Alex.
See you next time, everyone. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Sayonara.